Hey there, and welcome to Nauctis on YouTube. Get a load of these tanks! From tanks that look like they belong in a children's playroom, to tanks that can only be controlled from a few feet away, to Nazi Germany's attempt at a gotta-catch-em-all ball tank. Spoiler alert, they didn't catch anything. To tanks that run on wood-burning stoves, and finally, a tank with a turtle shell. Here are 5 tank inventions that tried to be innovative but ended up being more useless than a unicycle in a traffic jam. Have you ever heard of a pokeball tank?
Go Pokeball!
No, it's not a joke. It's a real vehicle that was built by Nazi Germany during World War II. It's called the Kugel Panzer, which literally means ball tank in German. But what was its purpose? How did it work? And why is it so mysterious? The Kugel Panzer is a one-man armored vehicle that looks like a metal sphere with 2 wheels on each side. It has a small hatch on the front for the driver to enter and exit, and a slit for vision and ventilation. The vehicle is powered by a 2-stroke engine that drives the rear wheel, while the front wheel is used for steering. The vehicle has no visible weapons or armor plating. The Kugel Panzer is very small and light, measuring only 4 feet 11 inches in diameter and weighing about 100.8 tons or 300 to 600 pounds. It can reach a speed of up to 5 miles per hour on flat terrain. The exact purpose of the Kugel Panzer is unknown, as there are no surviving documents or records about its development or deployment. The Mine Exploder TV8 was a remote-controlled vehicle based on the M4 Sherman medium tank. It was designed to clear minefields during 1-0 and was tested in 1944, but ended up being more of a danger than a solution. With a weight that could make an elephant jealous, this tank was the epitome of heavy metal. The Mine Exploder TV8 was adapted from the M4 Sherman tank, with modifications made to its underside and sides to allow for the installation of huge 96-inch wheels. The tank's underside was thickened with 25mm steel, which was intended to protect the vehicle and its operators from mines. The Mine Exploder TV8 weighed in at a whopping 116,400 pounds, which was significantly heavier than the M4 Sherman tank. This made it difficult to transport and maneuver in the field. Additionally, the TV8 was slower than the M4 Sherman, with a maximum speed of just 3 kilometers per hour, while clearing mines and 10 kilometers per hour on a clear road. Despite these drawbacks, the Mine Exploder TV8 was a formidable weapon in the hands of skilled operators. The vehicle was controlled remotely by operators who could remain at a safe distance while the TV8 cleared mines. This allowed for greater safety and reduced the risk of casualties among the Allied forces. The Mine Exploder TV8 was tested extensively in 1944, with field tests taking place in the United States and Europe. However, the tank was ultimately rejected due to its heavy weight and related issues. Instead, the Allies turned to other vehicles such as the T-14 mine roller and the T-20 kite, which were lighter and easier to maneuver.
Wall of moving steel. They fan out. No ground left uncovered.
The Tiger I was a German heavy tank that saw extensive service during World War II. It mounted a powerful 88mm gun and had thick armor that made it formidable in combat. Additionally, this tank had 2 furnaces on top of it. However, despite its strengths, the Tiger I also had several significant drawbacks, including being over-engineered, unreliable, expensive, and fuel-hungry. As Germany was running low on fuel towards the end of the war, some engineers decided to get creative with their vehicles. They started experimenting with alternative sources of power, like wood gas. Yep, you heard it right. Wood gas. It's a flammable gas made by burning wood or other organic matter in a gasifier. And get this, they actually converted a Tiger tank into a wood gas-powered machine. The tank was originally built by Porsche, but they didn't get the Tiger contract, so the chassis was just sitting there collecting dust. The tank already had a gas-electric drive system, but it was about as reliable as a chocolate teapot, so they took out the electric motors and slapped a wood gas generator on the back deck. They fed wood chips or charcoal into the generator, which produced the gas that was then piped into the engine. It was like a barbecue grill on steroids. The engine could run on either gas or wood, depending on what they had on hand. The wood gas-powered Tiger I was tested at Kummersdorf in 1944, but it never saw combat. It had several disadvantages compared to a regular Tiger I, such as reduced power output, increased weight, reduced speed and mobility, increased fire risk, and reduced visibility due to smoke emission. It also required frequent refueling with wood or charcoal, which was not always easy to find. Tortuga Tank. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you put a turtle shell on a truck and called it a tank? Well, wonder no more, because that's exactly what Venezuela did in 1934. The Tortuga Tank, Spanish for turtle, was a makeshift armored vehicle that Venezuela built to scare off their neighbors. It was based on a civilian Ford 6x4 truck and had a metal shell that looked like a turtle's back. It had a small turret with a machine gun and could fit 2 or 3 people inside. The Tortuga Tank was not very fast or powerful, but it was probably very cute. It only appeared once in public, at a military parade at Maracay Air Base, where it was accompanied by 2 Italian Ansaldo CV-33 infantry tanks. The Tortuga Tank never saw any combat action, and its fate is unknown. The Tortuga Tank may have been one of the weirdest tanks ever made, but it also shows how creative and resourceful people can be when they want to make something out of nothing. This tank was designed back in the 1950s when people were getting crazy with their tank designs. The hull was unmanned, which meant the driver could sit back and relax in the turret while the tank did all the work. But wait, there's more. This tank was built with not 1 but 2 different power sources in mind: a conventional engine and a nuclear reactor. Yeah, you heard that right. A nuclear reactor. I mean, why not, right? It's not like nuclear waste is dangerous or anything. The TV8 was supposed to be versatile and adaptable to different combat scenarios. But let's be real here. It was about as stable as a pogo stick on a tightrope. The massive turret alone would have caused major stability issues, and the gun was fixed in place, which meant elevation and depression were achieved by pivoting the entire hull up and down with the suspension. Oh, and did I mention that it was supposed to be amphibious? That's right. This tank was designed to take on both land and sea like some kind of mutant turtle. All in all, the TV8 was a hilarious and impractical design that never made it beyond the mock-up stage. But hey, at least it would have had a cool factor and reduced fuel consumption. So let's raise a glass to the crazy engineers who came up with this wild ride and thank our lucky stars it never hit the battlefield.